All right, welcome back to another episode of the Neighborhood Ventures podcast. Today, we are the investor relations team. We're all here.
Let's go.
In person. So you got Nick Jackson, Kyle Macdonald, and myself, Bart Diehl. We're going to talk about some fun things. We're going to talk about Legos. So
love Legos.
If you are 90 years old or you're 9 years old, you've probably had an experience with Legos, whether it's stepping on them or building them. So we're going to talk about Legos today. We're going to talk about Phoenix suburbs that are ranking nationally for growth and affordability. And we're going to talk about one of our favorite topics, TSMC. So the first topic I want to jump into is Legos. And I'll let you guys lead off with this real quick because I'm asking a Lego question. Have you guys played with Legos before? Have you guys built anything?
Yeah. Well, half the reason I personally got into real estate was because of Legos.
Really?
And I actually had a Legoland Carlsbad, California membership growing up most of my life. And so you can say I'm a Lego addict, and I'm extremely excited about this coming to Tempe. This is pretty legit.
I also enjoy Legos. I think I stepped on one last night.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a 3-year-old, which I don't recommend. I think 3-year-old's a little too young.
Yeah.
Because
you want to chew on it.
And I found out that it was me that was putting it. Putting the pieces where he was more so trying to move the pieces and create piles instead of putting it together. And I quickly learned that we probably are a couple years away from Legos.
So have you guys had any difficulties with Legos in terms of building where you felt like you had to call someone or write them a letter?
Well, it was funny because growing up, my next door neighbor had a full Lego room. And if I'm being honest, I would always have the ideas, but I would always make them build it. Yeah. So I'm like, hey,
sounds familiar.
Let's do this. Why don't? So, yeah, I was always the idealist and never the actual builder. So that was always fun.
Well, the reason why I asked that is because Lego is moving their consumer and shopper engagement team to Tempe, Arizona. So the CSE team is a global network of nearly 1,000 employees for Lego. Located in China, Germany, Denmark, Singapore, the UK, and the US. So they're moving 150 of these employees to Tempe, Arizona, with plans of growing the team. So together they manage over 4 million customer interactions each year, providing help and guidance to whatever is needed. So for you guys, it's right in the backyard. You can drive over there, say, hey, I need help building this. Here's what I have.
That's great.
But we're seeing a lot of big and global brands like Lego move into Tempe and the Phoenix metro area. What do you guys think? Why do you guys think Tempe and other places in the valley are such attractive for companies?
Yeah, I think really the Phoenix area is a great area for call centers. We've just continued to see year after year more call centers building, either having us being a second satellite office, and I think a lot has to do with housing.
Yeah.
And then I think also the weather. If you think about it, we don't have large blizzards, storms happening to take out power. Even though it's hot, we still have to come to work. We don't have snow days. And so really, I think the Phoenix area is just kind of an ideal situation for a call center.
Yeah.
And really in Tempe, it's such a great market just because you've got a hybrid of college kids, younger kids, and then and as well as there's quite a few high schools that also are close by that can actually add to that talent pool.
Yeah, I to add on to that, I think it's two additional answers. It's ASU and it's the airport. With ASU, especially President Michael Crow, he's very adamant that companies move to Tempe and headquarter in Tempe. If you go way back to kind of the Carvana campus right there on Tempe Town Lake, those beautiful office buildings, those were all initially leased out by State Farm. And they were able to attract State Farm to have one of their kind of national headquarters there as well. And additionally, Michael Crow and all the land that ASU owns in Tempe, they're building a lot of housing. And most of this housing is not being specifically designated as student housing. And so they have a serious push for more professionals living there. with public transit things like all the buses and the light rails that they're developing, they just want to see it more as a innovative, walkable community, not just for students, but for professionals as well. And so you'll see, Michael Crow is one of the loudest voices in Phoenix, and he's actively economic development person of the city of Tempe. So it's fun to see.
Yeah, and to your point, students, when you're in your sophomore and junior year and you're looking for your first internship and you see Lego pop up, even if it's a call center or whatever it is, they call it their consumer and shopper engagement team. That'd be fun to join, to be able to say, hey, I worked for 2 years at Lego. I handled client inquiries. I resolved client inquiries. So that'll be really exciting for students as well.
Well, they have a big one over at Arrowhead Mall, close to where I live, and I walk in and I'm like, what a job!
Yeah,
to be able to be there and answer questions about Legos and sell Legos.
Yeah.
I think to your point, I think it speaks to the nature of think Legos and how we were raised and how fun they are.
Again, the Phoenix Metro just keeps attracting more Fortune 500 tech firms, lifestyle brands, which means more jobs, and then obviously that means more renters, which is why there's opportunity for real estate investors to get into multifamily. Right now the cost to own a home is around 150% higher than it is to rent. So more folks are opting to renting until prices come down for homes and interest rates come down. But while I'm talking about affordability, I do want to talk about our next topic, which is we had 4 Phoenix suburbs rank among the fastest growing and most affordable areas in the U.S. So those are 2 things that they don't necessarily run together, but in this scenario they do. So affordability and also growth. Maricopa ranked number 9 nationally. Its population grew 10.36% from 57,000 to 62,000 between 2021 and 2023. With an average home value of $360,155. Buckeye grew the fastest in the entire valley of Phoenix Metro, Arizona, with 11.3% growth in population, so 89,000 to 99,000, ranking number 15 in growth, with an average home value of $408,220. Santan Valley ranked 16, growing 9.47%. So that's 96,000 to 105,000, with a average home value of $410,260,000. And Goodyear rounded out the list at 26, growing 9.87%. So 93,000 to 102,000, with the valley's highest average home value at 483,706 on this list.
Wow.
So guys, Phoenix Metro is among the fastest growing in the nation, while still relatively affordable. Do you guys think it can stay relatively affordable?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, my first thought when you were citing off all these statistics was, I just hear growth.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we constantly are hearing in the news every single week on social media that the ability to buy a home, the purchasing power of the average buyer is going down and down and down. But Phoenix and single-family home builders are continuing to build, specifically in these suburbs, and so as far as that slowing down, I don't see it slowing down at all. I think there's going to be continued pressure on politicians, especially locally, to continue to fight that battle of home affordability. Being in, the age group of as a 28-year-old of someone who would be looking to buy a home or to start a young family and to buy an entry-level home. It's something that I would care deeply about and wouldn't want to see the supply reduce. As we know, if supply does reduce and these 4 specific areas stop developing, then it'd be tough to justify that it would be affordable to purchase. So
and Kyle, I mean, you just said you're 28. You're in a position where it's, hey, do I move to these suburbs, which is 30 to 45 minutes outside of Phoenix, and be able to afford a $400,000, $360,000 home, or do I rent 10 minutes from my office, right? And Biltmore area, Phoenix. So I think that's the battle people are having right now that are trying to buy their first home is, hey, I can actually afford a home, but I got to go way out there. And I do want to point this out. Our parents' generation, boomers, they did the same thing. So you have your hubs like Chicago, New York, and they went to the suburbs. They went out, they bought these developments. Nick, I think your family probably did the same thing because you were there when basically Glendale, North Phoenix was being built, and you've been there since you were a kid.
You're right. We were on the very cusp of Glendale before anything was north of Union Hills.
Yeah.
And just to see the growth is amazing. And to your point, my house was the very furthest in Glendale. There were a few custom homes scattered throughout, but as far as neighborhoods, ours was probably the furthest, and that was in 1979. You got to realize interest rates are also 12 and 13% back then.
Yeah.
And so that was important to be able to find housing that you could afford, and really the outskirts was it. And that's what you're seeing here. And with this article, what's interesting is Arizona, Texas had 13 cities.
Yeah.
And we had 4, and we tied for second because I think Florida had 4 as well. So out of all the states, we ranked number 2 as far as having
both growth and affordability,
and the affordability of it. And I think that's a testament of Arizona, and really I think where we are today, and I think where we're going to be for the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, and I think that's just thinking about this whole conversation with people looking to buy homes. We know it's expensive to buy a home, but I do think there's that. Back then with our parents, you go buy a home, you have your own property, your own land. It's a little bit different now with what apartments are offering. So if you look at what apartments are offering, here in Phoenix Metro, most of them have a gym, laundry room, or in-unit washer and dryers. You have a dog park nearby. You have all these amenities that come with your apartment, which make it a little bit harder to say, hey, I'm going to move to Santan and I'm going to go buy that $350,000 3-bedroom home.
Well, and especially if you're getting married and you're maybe holding off on kids for a little while, and you're kind of going through that process. I know Kyle and I have been talking these last few weeks. He wants to move kind of close by, Midtown, Uptown,
even downtown.
Sure. And I think that's such a, and I think your mind and how you're thinking is exactly what I think many folks are also thinking, that are single, looking to perhaps get start a family soon, but are in that transition of, hey, look, I think I'd rather be closer to work and maybe have some of those amenities close by than actually have the yard but live like an hour away.
Yeah, absolutely. There was in my major in college, there was a happiness study done, and one of the top 10 factors for happiness was what your commute time was.
Oh,
right?
That makes sense.
That's so fair.
I know that the happy balance was about 15 to 20 minute commute, right?
Okay.
And someone like me, I do crave density. Like the idea of moving to Buckeye or to these other cities, while the growth is great and it's going to continue, for someone of my profile, I don't want to live in Buckeye right now. Like I would love to live in a more dense place, like downtown Phoenix, for example, because of these amenities, because of the commute and all the other things. And I think, from a multifamily perspective, this place, as we all know, has been blowing up with new construction. And really, construction has fallen off. But once the economy gets better, we'll see an uptick in construction and multifamily coming on board, because we're such a sprawling city.
Yeah.
And residents here are craving density and craving really better lifestyle.
Yeah, it comes down to preferences. We have, around 100,000 people moving to Phoenix Metro every single year, which I want to talk about a little bit with this next article. So it's TSMC exploring massive mixed-use project near the plant. So TSMC is working with partners on a rezoning effort to create North Park Phoenix. This is a massive 6,000-acre mixed-use master plan community near its chip factory site. So the community would feature up to 15,150 homes, including both single-family and multifamily, along with commercial, employment, and open space areas. So yeah, I did some research. TSMC experts, TSMC expects to bring about 6,000 direct high-tech jobs to the area. I always wondered where people were going to live. So this is like a ripple effect that we're going to see with other major corporations moving to Arizona, especially with 100,000 people moving to Arizona each year. What do you guys think of these plans? Do you guys think it's a good thing? This is over by you, Nick.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm about 12 minutes away from TSMC, and I've been able to kind of have a front row seat to see the construction, the inconvenience that it's been as well. I'm probably as far as a north south, I'm probably the closest, at least community closest to TSMC. So they're going to be building two large, at least one road that connects directly to the plant right through my neighborhood. Like literally about 3 streets away is going to be kind of a connection. And so at first we actually try to fight it. We kind of went to the board and tried to kind of say, hey, let's not have a main street go all the way up, and city kind of came back and just said, hey, look, this is how it was always planned. And so I think, so I've kind of now, instead of thinking more of a negative, I'm thinking more positive. I think hey, look, I think home values will definitely continue to go up in that neighborhood, neck of the woods, as far as where they're building.
I was curious to see, and you don't have to give me a number, but the appraised value of your home, if you checked on it, has it gone up pretty considerably?
Yeah, it's definitely been steady, and I'm sure it's going to continue to grow as they start to plan this master plan, community, which with Pulte involved, it's probably going to be similar.
Yeah, Pulte's a great
not
developer.
Bigger than Anthem. I think they were a big builder out in Anthem, and so look, I think it's going to be well planned, thought out.
Yeah.
Especially because there's plenty of land to do that. So I really hope and I know Pulte's not the only group that's partnering up. I know there's other groups that are also buying land nearby that will continue to build.
Yeah. Kyle just mentioned when we were talking about the suburbs, that the happiness meter is based off of, one of the top things is based off of your commute to work. So this is big for the 6,000 employees that will be working on site and in the area, to be able to live hey, I'm only 5 minutes away in North Park community. So I think that's good for them. They should be happier, happy at home, happy at work.
Yeah. My first thought when I saw this North Park development coming with over 15,000 dwelling units and commercial was the fact that this is just on the south side of TSMC. Yeah. And we know on the north side, there's already, 6 to 8 months ago, Halo Vista was also announced. And one thing as real estate operators we're looking at is absorption. Like how quickly will people buy these homes or lease out this commercial space? And developers and the city, everybody else involved in this feels comfortable moving forward with an entirely new master plan community on the south side of this. I mean, that just blows my mind, because the north side, Halo Vista, is a massive
$7 billion project.
Yeah, I mean, 2,500 acres, every use you can think of, very well designed by the Mac Real Estate Group. So,
well, that's the ripple effect I'm talking about. Is yes, there's 6,000 employees coming, but you got to think TSMC is going to bring a lot of other companies to Arizona as well too. Yeah. We're already seeing other companies make it bigger. Amcor's one, Intel's one, Dutch Rose, which is not a tech company, but there are corporations moving here. There's a lot of activity, and there's ripple effects. So it's not just one employee that's going to take up a house. It's one employee and their wife and their kids and family members, and then their family members are going to have more family. It's a ripple effect. It just continues to grow, and people are going to move to that area.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people are starting to call Phoenix Silicon Oasis, an oasis in the desert where these tech companies, especially catalyzed by TSMC, are coming. And we haven't even talked about the startups that are projected to come out of these companies that have moved here. Because a lot of time you have a Facebook caliber company or a TSMC caliber company move, and they have thousands of employees who don't all stay. And these are high paying, 6-figure jobs, white collar, and you can expect to see a lot of innovation and startups to really blossom here in Phoenix.